Just set this All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
All right, first of all, I appreciate everyone making the effort to be here today. As you know, we decided yesterday to make a change, leadership of our football program. And, first I want to say, before we kind of move on to what's next for us in the future of the program, how much I appreciate Will. He has poured himself into this program for the last 4 years every day. And he's been great for the young men in that locker room. And everyone in this building has benefited from him being here. Unfortunately, we just couldn't get it turned on the field. We couldn't get over the hump, and that's why we're sitting here today. And that's kind of the way this works. And so, but I do appreciate his work. Thankful for everything he's given to this program, and we certainly want nothing but the best for him moving forward. As you guys read in our release, we have moved Reed Stringer into the interim role. Reed is someone who is well respected throughout this building. He has a ton of experience, multiple institutions in multiple roles. He is someone that we feel very confident in that can lead us, through the rest of this season. He's someone who really has a relationship with all the players on this roster, just because of his role as the GM and assistant head coach, and so we felt really good about that. It also allows us to let our position coaches continue to do their jobs, and we've got some things we got to continue to improve on. And as I told the team last night, I mean, this is a change, but this doesn't mean the season is over. And so we're going to focus on getting better every week and try to win as many games as we can down the stretch and represent the university the right way. And again, we think Reed gives us the best opportunity to do that. And then as we move forward, certainly an important hire for us. Timeline-wise, this is going to be a search that is going to take us right up until the end of November. I think you guys kind of all know the dates that are important to us. As we think about early signing period, December, or first week of December, and then the portal opens on December 9th. Those are definitely important dates as we think about the timeline of the search. The back end of that, the other part of that, is that you got a lot of coaches who are coaching football right now who are going to be interested in our job. So we have to balance those two things. But to give you some sense of timeline, that's what we're looking at. We will engage a search firm to help us with this process. And it's going to be really important to us, and feel good about kind of where we're at as far as getting that lined up and moving. And we look forward to getting this rolling. This is a really, really good football job, and I believe that with every fiber of my being. This is a place where you can win. This is a place where you can win at a high level. We're in a great football league, and this is going to be a job that is heavily sought after, and people are going to want, and my phone would back that up right now. I became really popular really quickly once the job opened, and that's the way it works. And so we're going to have a lot of people who are interested, and our job is going to be to weed through that and find the next right leader for this football program. Football is very important here, and we need to make sure that we get this right and that we put this program in the right spot to be successful. So with that, I'll stop right there and open it up for questions.
So Jeremy, there was speculation that you would allow the coach to finish the season. What was it about this weekend that made you pull the trigger?
Well, I would say that was speculation. That's what it was. I've never said that. My focus has always been on the young men in the locker room, what's best for them. And so up until this point, I thought what was best for them was Will Hal. And I think that was 100% accurate. They love him. They've played hard for him. There's never been an issue there. We just got to the point in the season where it was time to do something different. And so that's really what all it boiled down to.
I heard someone say this weekend that off the field the program is in good shape. It was on the field that there was a problem.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think here's what I would tell you. I'll go back to what I said a few minutes ago. Will has done a lot of really good things for this program. He's put us in a great position culture-wise. He's recruited well. Academics are, we cleaned some things up we needed to clean up there. The next football coach will benefit from the work that's been done over the last 4 years. And, the way this works is, this staff that's here now has been here. They don't necessarily get to benefit, but someone in the near future is going to benefit from all the work that's been done.
Can you speak on, the buyout and just the financial impact of how you guys will be able to handle that?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, he's got, Will had a year left on his contract. We'll pay that out per the terms of the contract, and we'll be able to handle that just the way we handled everything else, which is by securing funds to make sure that it's done in a way that's not going to impact us negatively, and we've got a plan to do that.
Jeremy, to make this decision mid-season with the landscape of college football now, how much more difficult was that?
Yeah, I think, certainly there's a different element. I think it's a great point than in years past, where you really have to be conscious, again, of kind of we want what's best for the young men in the locker room. And with some of the new rules, with some of the new opportunities that are out there, I think it just muddies the waters a little bit. I think making a decision early in the year can be really difficult on everyone. And so, again, not that we wanted to make this decision any earlier than we did, but it really wasn't on the table until we got well into the year. We let it play out. We understood kind of where we were as a football team. And we just got deep enough into the year that it made sense.
With this decision last time around, you had some prerequisites that you wanted to meet regarding your hire. Can you kind of talk about if some of that changed this time, or maybe speak to that,
Yeah.
what you're looking for? You're looking for an offensive guy, defensive guy, someone with head coaching experience prior.
I'll tell you this. I think the profile's wide open. I'm going to be real careful not to say, and I think I've always tried to make sure we don't pigeonhole ourselves into eliminating candidates that could be good candidates. So I want to say that first. But I do think, Glenn, there are some things that are really important. I think the job has changed a lot in the last 5 years. I think you have to have someone who can manage the portal, manage NIL. You got to be able to hire the right people. You got to be able to do more things now than you've ever had to do. And so when you think about that, you definitely want someone who's had some experience in doing those things or has the capacity to do those things. Okay, it could be either one, but I certainly think that's going to be a large part of focus for us. I think a lot of people get caught up in X's and O's, and there's a lot of really good X and O football coaches out there. But you have to be able to do the things that the intangibles and the things that it takes these days to be a head coach, and there's a lot on your plate, and you got to be able to manage that.
Can you just kind of speak on just how things will go with working with the search firm and just kind of, the ins and outs of how that process will look like?
I think so, without sharing too much. The search firm is there basically to assist us, and so certainly bring candidates to us, help us create profiles, help us kind of weed through some things. And then there's a lot of work that's done on the back end. There's a lot of background checks and due diligence that they can help us do that we might not have all the time to do, because while we have about a 6-week window here, 5 or 6 week window, most of the work is going to be done the final 2 weeks of that, just because of the nature of football and the searches. And so they can help us with some of those things and make sure we don't miss on some things.
Thanks for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, you bet.
I'm Dave Bellstein from WJTV.
Good to see you.
The CBS station here in Jackson. Coach Hall always spoke with us a lot after games, talking about how he knew things weren't necessarily going the right way on the field, how he wanted ever since, of course, the bowl game a few years ago.
Yep.
But he said their team's doing a lot of things right, just not well. So how do you balance with a new head coaching job search, finding the balance between looking to keep things the way they are, if they are going the right way, and improve on them, versus finding someone who can bring in something new and different and maybe shake it up a little?
Yeah, I don't know that what we've been doing was necessarily broken, okay? And I think that's the point you're making. I think the culture piece is always going to be important to me. Something Will did a great job of. It's something that we will look for the next person to do a great job of. And so I think you can always learn from your mistakes. And I'm a huge believer in that. And that and I will say, we've talked about some of the shortcomings, and we just didn't quite get it done on the field. I always think that everyone needs to look internally when it doesn't work. Me, our staff, from top to bottom, how we go about things, what are we doing with facilities. So it's a group effort, right? And so we are doing and have done a lot of things well. But what are the things that we didn't quite get right to make sure that we could see the results on the field? And so there will be some things that we've done well over the last few years that I want to make sure we continue to do well. Because I will tell you, I think that if you go and ask the guys in the locker room right now, I think they love being here. This is a place that, and some of them have been other places, and they love this campus and this community and this program. And so we've created the right opportunity there, I think, to be successful. We've just got to fix some of the other things that, to your point, didn't quite allow us to get over the hump.
And you said you spoke with the team. What was kind of their reaction to the news when you had an opportunity to chat with them?
They were great. They were great. I mean, they certainly, I think anytime you have change, right, all of us, and especially if you think if you're, 19 to 22 years old, that can be a lot. But they're probably also more resilient than we give them credit for. And so they handled it great, ton of respect. I gave Will the opportunity to address the group, and he wanted to do that. And so he and I went in together, and it was as good as you could have hoped for. The guys responded phenomenally well. They were back out at practice this morning, and we're in good spirits. And so what they want is to win football games. Okay, don't mistake that. They love Will Hal, and so, but they understand. They know where we're at, and what they want to do is continue to get better and make this university proud and be able to feel good about what they're doing. And so they want to focus on winning football games.
On your priority list, Jeremy, of new coaches, where does ties to Southern Miss and or the state of Mississippi, where does that rank on your priority list?
It's on the list, but it's not at the top, Kelly. That's the way I'll frame that. I mean, it's certainly, I think it adds to that if a candidate has connections, because I think recruiting is always relationship-based. But it doesn't mean that someone from outside the area can't come in and create those relationships. And so it will be on my list as something to consider, but it will not be at the top of the list.
What made this the right time in the season? Obviously there weren't a lot of wins
Yeah.
recently, so
Yeah.
why this week as compared to previous or next week or something?
Yeah, I think it's what we talked about earlier. I think you need. I felt like we needed to get to a certain point and let this play out. Here's the thing: if I'd have thought 4 weeks ago making a change would have made us a better football team, I would have done it. But I did not feel that way. Okay, and so once you get to this point and you've gotten into conference play, and you kind of the direction becomes very clear, and you know that. The decision is inevitable, then it's time to go ahead and make that change. And so there's a lot of factors that go into that, but that's a pretty easy way for me to sum that up.
How much of this decision was maybe, I don't want to say influenced, but obviously the fan base wasn't too happy this past weekend. We heard chants, shirts, bags. How much of that maybe played into this? Did it all?
Zero. I love our fans, and I'm glad they're passionate, and I am thankful that they're frustrated, because if they weren't, we'd have bigger issues. But I will never lead based on anything other than what I think is best for this university.
What were some of those other factors, obviously besides just the obvious wins and losses, that went into making this decision?
I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of good things, as we've talked about. And so it really was about wins and losses. It really was about the standard here at Southern Miss is one that it's a high standard. And not being successful in the football field is not something that we can continue to do and sustain. We gave Will an opportunity this year. We thought that was the right thing to do because we thought a lot of good things were happening. And quite honestly, I felt like it was the right thing to do because we needed to have a little bit of patience, and we didn't need to flip this thing just because we were frustrated. It didn't work. Certainly hindsight's 20/20, but really came down at this point to success on the football field and just not seeing a path for us to get there.
I think the thing that's a lot perplexing to a lot of people, Jeremy, is and everybody will say, man, he did check all the boxes. Your words when he was hired.
Yeah.
And everybody said, and even you put why didn't, there was all
Yeah.
indications it was going to work, and it just didn't.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Kelly, and one I've asked myself a lot over the past year. In a lot of ways, you think it should have, and I certainly have stayed awake at night thinking that a lot. What I will tell you is that winning football games is hard, and getting it just right is hard. Sometimes it's the little things that you miss on that can end up having a huge impact. And so I'm not going to sit here today and that's not the place to critique that publicly and to say we missed here, we made that mistake. But I will just say that I think it's really hard to get it just right. And there were probably some things that we missed on that ended up having a ripple effect that didn't allow us to be successful in the field. But I'll go back to saying that there's a lot of right.
Yeah.
It just there were enough things that we missed on that ended up costing us.
This job is, like you kind of pointed out, guess what's your sales pitch on this go around? What makes this job different on this go around?
Yeah, I'm not going to have to pitch this to anyone, okay? And I want to make that clear. That's not. There will be a lot of really good coaches interested in this job. We're in a good place. When I got here in 2019, we were probably at the bottom of the league in what we were paying our assistant coaches. We are now in the top third in the league in what we're paying our assistant coaches. And so there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that not everyone's aware of, but we're in a really good place. And so I think certainly as I sit down with coaches, Andrew, I don't think I'm going to have to pitch it, but certainly as we sit down and talk to coaches, I think the sell is this. We're in a great football league. We are in a great position from a culture standpoint. We've recruited well. We've got a great group, especially younger guys in that locker room that have really bright futures. And so we're in a really good place when it comes down to, hey, if you came in and took the keys for this program, there's a chance to have some success pretty quickly. And so I think we have every resource we need here to be successful. That doesn't mean that we don't want to do more. I think it's always, we have to continue to push forward. But I think in this league and what is the best group of 5 league in the country, we have a chance to be successful today. And that'll be the conversation.
You mentioned just how important this hire is moving forward. It seems like college football, the landscape of it changes every other day. So just how important is it to get someone in who understands that landscape now and then where it could go?
Yeah, I think that's the key. I mean, I think that's a critical part of this process is finding the right person who understands it, who can manage it, who can handle all the things that are going to come at you. It is very different than it was even 4 or 5 years ago, to your point. And we talk about name, image, and likeness, and we talk about the transfer portal and the culture. And so someone who can get their arms around those pieces is going to be really important. And there's certainly other pieces to that puzzle. I talked about hiring staff and, just being able to function in the community the right way and represent the university. But those elements create a very different experience and challenge these days. And so we have to have someone who either has managed that or has the capacity to manage that at a high level.
What made Reed Sminger the right choice to lead the program for the remainder of the season?
Yep, he's has the respect of everyone in this building, number one. Reed's been around a bunch of programs that have had success at different levels. He knows what it looks like. He knows the ins and outs. And like I said, in my opening statement, I think it gives us an opportunity for our coaches to coach. We don't have to displace any of our position coaches or our coordinators. And so both of those were factors, but certainly we got a ton of faith in Reed. The kids respect him. He will be great as far as guiding this ship over the next month. And, we feel good about that opportunity for us. And I think our kids responding great to that news.
What kind of plan is there to speak with current recruits that might be wondering what the future looks like?
Certainly. There is a plan to do that for sure. And when this happens, usually that's me doing that. And so there's a plan to communicate to those guys over the next couple of days and make sure we talk to them and they know where we're at. And I share with them some of the things I'm sharing with you guys today. And so we'll be making a lot of those phone calls. I've got about a 5-hour drive later today, and I'm sure I'll be doing a lot of that during that period.
Jeremy, you hear so much about these research firms. Can you kind of, to the layperson, help explain because obviously you're well connected, you have a lot of resources.
Yeah.
And it seems like all the schools have these quote-unquote research firms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
certainly. And as I said earlier, it's really about a lot of the logistics. So when you get into this process, as you can imagine, my phone will not stop buzzing from now until December, whatever. And so when you have to navigate some of those things and you have to vet candidates and you have to create profiles, and then you have to do background work on and I don't mean just your typical HR background work. I'm talking about phone calls and research and digging in. You need someone a lot of times, and it depends on the situation, but there's a lot of times when you need someone who can help you do those things. And so it really is an assist, if you will, in the search process. They don't make the hire. They don't suggest who you hire, but it really is about assisting with the logistics to try to make sure that you don't miss on anything, that you can check all the boxes, and that you can move in a timely fashion, when you need to. Because as I said, 90% of the work will be done the last 2 weeks of November. There's a lot of, we've got 3 or 4 weeks here, but we're not going to sit down with coaches this early in the season in a lot of cases because they're obviously coaching football. And so we have to pick the right time to be able to sit down with them and have the in-depth discussion we want to have. And so that's a lot in a short time frame, and the search firms can assist with all the logistics.
Anything else? Jeremy, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate y'all being here.